Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 307 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by, you know who it is already, it is of course Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show again.
I'm good, my man. How you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Always good when speaking with you. We're going to dive straight in right here. We're going to start with a card that took place on Friday, August 27th at the Ponds Forge Arena in Sheffield, Yorkshire, United Kingdom. Just one fight to mention. Dave Allen returned with a win. He's now 19-5 with 2 draws. A second round TKO against Andrea Pese, who was down in that second round. The thing about Pese, it's not great when you look at the backstory. He turned pro at 150 pounds. He's now 260 pounds. He's 5'9". So, of course, a very, very, very small heavyweight. He did go the distance last month, I think over 8 rounds against Andrei Rudenko in a Ukrainian nightclub, but he couldn't go past 2 rounds with Dave Allen, coming off about 2 years out the ring, something like that, in Sheffield. All the best to Dave Allen, friend of the show, friend of Eddie's. Moving out now to the it's called the Amfitear nad Jeziorem in Poland. Probably saying that awfully wrong, but over here Matthias Masternak with a win. A gross mismatch on paper. He's now 45-5. It was his 50th fight. A KO for him in round 3 against the grossly overmatched Felipe Nsu, who's now 4-2 with a draw. Nice easy way to pick up your 45th win there for Masternak. Moving out now to the Arena Birmingham in West Midlands, United Kingdom. This one over here I was present at. It felt good to be back ringside. It really did. I'm going to start here with the fight that involves a guy we will be speaking to in a few moments' time. We're going to start here with Kaisy Khademi, who is now 8-1 with a draw. He took on Ijaz Ahmed, who's now 8-2 with a draw. It ended in a split draw after 12 rounds, scores of 115-113, 114-115, and 114-114. It was for the vacant British Super-Flyweight title. Khademi, you know, the more skilled fighter in my eyes, but the very, tough and game Ahmed, you know, he's relentless and nothing can seem to stop him from coming forward. Bad clash of styles, you know, when I think of it from Khademi's point of view, because I think Khademi, like I say, is the much more skilled boxer, and with Ahmed's relentless pressure, he can keep coming for 12 rounds clearly. I don't know, you know, Khademi doesn't hit hard enough to keep Ahmed off of him, and at times that was his undoing, because, you know, when Ahmed would meet Khademi in the middle of the ring, it was Khademi's fight. When Khademi would go back to the ropes and Ahmed would put the pressure on, it didn't look good, especially in the eyes of the judges. I felt the first 2 rounds were really close. Whenever either guy would land an eye-catching combination, the other guy would return fire with his own eye-catching combination. Both rounds could have gone either way in the first 2. Round 3 I gave to Khademi clear. I felt like he was displaying the science of boxing, hitting and not getting hit. Ahmed had success in the first 2 rounds at times with the uppercut, and in round Round 3, he tried to counter with the uppercut several times, but he was just a bit out of range and he would miss and it didn't look good. Khademi's mobility as well was on another level, getting in and out nicely. Round 4, another close round, really close. I liked when Khademi would throw a lead left hook and spin off of it. That worked for him a lot. Ahmed, though, couldn't really be phased by anything Khademi threw, like I said. Round 5, a big round, especially towards the end for Ahmed. Khademi got caught with his back to Ahmed for a split second. His back kind of turned for a second. Ahmed was really on the front foot. He's like a little wrecking ball. I gave round 6 to Ahmed as well. Round 7 was a huge round for Khademi. He showcased his superior boxing skills, hitting and not getting hit again. And when he puts it all together, like he did in that 7th round, it's top class. It really is top class. Round 8 I felt was a close round. Round 9 I gave to Khademi. Round 10 Khademi was cut. The blood was streaming down his eye. Ahmed was coming on strong. Khademi was fighting back. It was another close round. Round 11 was a close one. Round 12 I think was a close one as well. I can't remember too much of round 12, to be honest with you. But anyways, a really close fight. The rounds that Khademi would win, he would win wide. I felt it was clear to see he'd win a round, but there were so many close rounds. The majority of rounds were close, so that pretty much means they could have gone either way. I felt it was close at the end, and like we say, it ended in a split draw. We will be speaking to the man in a few moments' time, and I feel bad for him because, the first fight I think he nicked, and they gave it to Ahmed. The second fight, which wasn't televised, which is criminal, by the way, it wasn't televised, and they settle it with a draw. And now, will there be a third? We shall see. I'll certainly be sure to ask Kaisy Khademi that. Moving on to other fights on the bill, we're going to start here with Akeem Ennis-Brown. He's now 14-1, a unanimous decision over 12 rounds in favour of Sammy Maxwell, who's now 16-0. It was for the Commonwealth and British super lightweight titles. Ennis-Brown cut on his right eye in round 4. Maxwell cut on his left eyelid as well in one of the rounds. Really close fight again in my eyes. I had it really close. I wasn't scoring it round by round. I think that Maxwell said something after the fight to one of the supporters. In fact, no, it was his trainer. His trainer said to one of the people ringside, he shouted into the crowd, he said, "We landed the better shots." I think he did land the better shots. Akeem Ennis-Brown is like a really tricky customer as well. He will throw shots from weird angles. He will throw shots from either stance. He's really hard to hit, and his style reminds me a little bit of I want to say like an Andrew Selby, something like that. Really hard to work out and predict what his next move will be. Like I say, it was really close. It could have gone either way. Most people ringside gave it to Ennis-Brown. I wasn't scoring it, so I don't want to say that I think the right man won or the right man didn't win. But yeah, all in all, really good fight. A hell of a lot of build-up. It was nice to see a little bit of sportsmanship shown by both the lads afterwards. But a great fight there. Elsewhere on the card, Anthony Kakachi with a win, now 19-1. A unanimous decision over 12 against Leon Woodstock, who's now 12-3. It was for Kakachi's British super featherweight title. Woodstock down in the 4th. Do you know what? Really expected that fight to go the way it went. I wasn't surprised by anything. Woodstock, I didn't think was on the same level as Kakachi boxing skill wise. Kakachi is a quality fighter with real pedigree. Woodstock, I think he's very basic and one-dimensional. He was down from a left uppercut in was it round 4? I think I said. Round 4. I don't think he was particularly hurt. I think he just walked right into it. But yeah, he was just overmatched once again. And I think that Woodstock is a very tough fighter, but he's just not as good as some of the other guys here in Britain. There's nothing wrong with that. I still think he's very entertaining. He's barely ever in a boring fight. But I think he needs to be matched a little bit easier. He needs to be built a little bit, I think, because, he brings the entertainment every time. But he has been matched very, very tough. I go back to that really hard fight he had with Craig Poxton all those years ago. And obviously he lost to Archie Sharp. He lost to Zelfa Barrett. Zelfa Barrett gave him a bit of a hiding. And here we go, Kakachi with a real bit of a hiding. yeah, so back onto the fight. Like I say, Woodstock was just walking into jabs all night from Kakachi. Kakachi was boxing in both stances. He was bamboozling Woodstock. I felt for Woodstock in there. He's got huge balls, as we know, but he's just not on the same level as Kakachi. Woodstock couldn't get past the jab. His face was really busted up. He didn't even look like himself at the end of the fight. Honestly, he didn't look like the same fighter before the bell had gone. His face was horrible. But yeah, the angles, the rolling under, the hooks of Woodstock, Kakachi just looked class. He really, really did. Moving on to the other fights on the card, let's now speak about Anthony Yarde. A first round KO for him against Alex Tehran. Anthony Yarde now 21-2, Tehran now 23-6, all 6 losses by knockout. 2 body shots, both left hooks I believe, that finished Yarde's opponent. Nice and easy. It wasn't the opposition that we want to see Yarde in with, that's no secret. There was a lot of, I can't repeat what they were saying, but a lot of chants in the crowd, you know, pretty much expressing their displeasure with that fight there. I think they were saying pretty X-rated stuff, but along the lines of what is the point in this fight kind of thing. You know, it was another knockover job really for Anthony Yarde, and Anthony Yarde is a friend of the show. A really, really good friend he was at one point. I remember going down to the gym and watching him spar behind closed doors. Was really cool. Haven't spoke to him though for a couple of years, but no, I got a lot of time for Anthony Yarde, and it's not the fight that we want to see him in. We do want to see that rematch with Lyndon Arthur. I'm sure we're going to get that pretty soon, but this one was a bit pointless. Nathan Heaney now 13-0, a KO for him in round 5 against late addition to the card Konstantin Alexandrov. Don't think he had too much notice. I think he came in on fight week. He's now 10-49 with 4 draws. It was a body shot. Nathan Heaney, I've got to say, it was kind of cool to be there ringside and hear the crowd make their noise. I mean, it's quite unbelievable. The noise that he gets, Nathan Heaney, the crowd, the atmosphere is very, 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 very rare as well, but really cool to go there and witness that atmosphere firsthand. I've seen it on TV, it looks good. Being there in person is 10 times better. Liam Davies with a win as well, a TKO in round 2. He's now double figures, 10 wins. He was able to knock out Raymond Comey down prior to the stoppage as well. His record now 19-12 with a draw. Yeah, that's about it for that card. I think we've gone through everything there. Okay, moving out now we're going to go here to the Oak Grove Racing and Gambling Hall in Kentucky. One fight to mention over here. Friend of the show, Tyler Tomlin, moved to 12-0, a KO in round 5 against Ira Terry, who's now 27-17. Tyler Tomlin, the prospect signed to Lou DiBella Promotions. Moving out now to the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. This one, of course, was on Showtime pay-per-view. Let's start with the Amanda Serrano fight. She's now 41-1 with a draw. A unanimous decision over 10 2-minute rounds against Yamileth Mercado, who's now 18-3. She's still never been stopped. Serrano wanted to make a statement and get the stoppage. She didn't get that stoppage, but she did fight really well and hurt her opponent several times. She's very, very tough, Mercado. It was for the WBC, WBO, and IBO World Female Featherweight titles. Serrano, one of the best female fighters in the world. Always a pleasure to see her fight. Doesn't really matter which weight class she gets the call to fight at. She can just go up and down them. She is quite unbelievable. A real athlete. Let's talk about now Ivan Baranchyk, former world champion, now 20-3. A big upset. He retired on his stall at the end of round 7 against the previously undefeated Montana Love, who's still undefeated, now 16-0 with a draw. Unbelievable. I mean, it's a huge upset there. I think it could be the end for Baranchyk. I said it on last week's show that I'd heard good things about Montana Love for years, but he hadn't really stepped up yet. And I also said that this is the perfect time to fight Baranchyk after coming off that brutal knockout loss to Zepeda. excellent timing in terms of the matchmaking now, I have to say. Montana Love made a statement. He had to face adversity early on, and then he came back to hurt Baranchyk several times and drop him, and the corner stopped it in between rounds. Montana Love, for me, has just announced himself to the world at that weight. A proper breakout fight for him. Really pleased for him, and perhaps he's a real player. We shall see, man. It was good to see him, face adversity as well, probably for the first time in his career properly, from a proven world-class fighter in Baranchyk, even though he doesn't look like the same Baranchyk from a few years ago. I don't think he's been the same fighter since losing to Josh Taylor. Elsewhere on the card, Charles Conwell, it was untelevised. He's now 16-0, a TKO in round 3 against the previously undefeated 18-0 Juan Carlos Rubio. Daniel Dubois with a win, a first round knockout against Joe Cusimano, who had never been stopped. He's now 19-4 Cusimano. Daniel Dubois 17-1. 3 times he was down Cusimano. I was really pleased for Daniel Dubois. You could see it on his face, the big smile. He was happy that he'd done that for the crowd. The crowd were loving him. Like I say, 3 knockdowns. Cusimano on the first knockdown got up at 10. Really, the referee could have called it off. The second one, he got up at 9. The third one, the referee didn't bother to count. Nice and easy, nice and quick. And he gave the crowd what they were dying to see. They were loving the knockout. Or the times he was dropping his opponent. It was fantastic for Dubois. I really was pleased for him. Elsewhere on the card, Tommy Fury with a win unanimously over 4 rounds against the previously, I don't know what to call him. He didn't have a win. He's now 0-2. Tommy Fury 7-0. Shutout win for Tommy. It wasn't his best performance. His opponent was a little bit of a spoiler. He was much shorter. I think Tommy found it hard to pin him down, and it wasn't the first round knockout most people expected, but it was what it was. I wasn't too surprised, to be honest. I still think that Tommy Fury is very much learning, and it's the right time to beat him if you are Jake Paul, if that is a fight that interests you, even though I'm not sure that it's as big as what some people think it is. But anyways, that is that. Jake Paul as well, 4-0, a split decision over 8 rounds to Tyron Woodley, who is now 0-1. Obviously, Woodley's pro debut. Pretty much everyone felt that Woodley did enough to win the... Jake Paul did enough to win the fight. I was watching it. Woodley landed a good shot in one of the rounds. Jake Paul should have been ruled down, really, because the ropes held him up. But, I probably gave Woodley maybe 2 rounds, maybe 3. But yeah, it was pretty much one on the jab, and he was moving a lot, Jake Paul, and listening to instructions in the corner from Jalen Love and BJ Flores. He won the fight. Not many people online felt that Woodley won. Clarissa Shields felt that Woodley won, but not anyone else I could see. Even all the other boxing fraternity, no one felt that Woodley did enough to win. But anyway, that is it though for the review part of the show. The final thing for me to do just before we wrap up this part is to welcome our sole guest on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBO European Super-Flyweight champion. It is, of course, Mr. Kaisy Khademi. Kaisy, welcome to the show, my friend.
How are you, mate? Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. I'm absolutely fine. So, Kaisy, first things first, man. How are you feeling? You're fresh off your fight on Saturday, a split draw, a very close fight. How are you feeling? It's obviously not the result that anyone, I don't think, wanted, the draw.
I mean, very disappointed. I mean, I've trained really hard. We went as an away fighter, and I just wanted to get the win, but unfortunately we couldn't. It came as a draw, and I was very disappointed to what the judges scored, but it is what it is. We move on.
Yeah, no, I understand. And the first fight was obviously a great one. The second fight, I think, was probably better than the first one. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, there was no footage of the opponent, so we didn't know how he's coming to the fight. So we just knew that he's a come forward fighter. So we kind of trained. I mean, we didn't have a long, because we had a very long. We had a lot of dates scheduled, but it was we went to it and it got cancelled. We was getting ready for it and it got cancelled. So it was a point that I wasn't really serious that the fight is actually gonna happen. But we went there. I mean, we stick to boxing. We stayed on it. We boxed as a back for fire, and I still thought I nicked it by a 2-round. As I landed more shot than he landed a more cleaner shot, but not to my extent. I had more. I had more shot that I landed. I was 9 points. I thought, but the judges saw it differently and they gave it differently, and I just thought, but the fight was, I wasn't mentally wasn't there as well because of what happened to my mom and the dates were getting changed. It was a bit, I wasn't in the right state of mind as well.
And this second fight that took place on Saturday, I'm going to ask you this question, and I don't think you're actually going to know the answer, but how on earth did it not end up on TV? Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of shocked. After the fight, a lot of people came like, how was it not on TV? I was surprised myself. The fight should have been on TV. It's, super flyweight, full of action-pack. From the first fight, we fought a lot of punches, so they should have knew that this fight, because I'm coming for revenge, it's a rematch. They should have knew it would have been a cracking fight, but I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. But the fight is now on YouTube, so anyone that's listening to me now, go on YouTube and check that fight out. It certainly is worth the time. What do you think, Kaisy, was the difference between the first and the second fight, or did you kind of think they were similar?
The second fight, I knew I had to do a lot more work because I'm coming to his hometown, and I had to be very more aggressive. I really wanted to hurt him, to be honest, because he took I took my first loss against him, so it was I had a lot of tension on my head to go and really go hurt him, and our sparring was great, our training was great, sparring was dropping everyone. I just came to get my win, to be honest. That what made it more interesting. I wanted to fight his own fight, go and close the gap and just fight his own style and trying to beat him at what he say he's good at.
And anyone that's listening to me, I don't want them to think that I'm being biased here. It's no secret that John Tandy's a friend of mine, but when I say this, I really mean it. You're a much more skilled fighter than Ahmed, Kaisy, but what is it that stops you from being able to win these two fights convincingly enough?
I think style makes fight, and if it was anyone else, my style can, I think my style is really, but he's a come forward fighter, but he's not an ordinary come forward fighter. The way he tucks in, the way he takes his steps, the way he times his punches is a lot more different to any other fighters, and that's what makes the fight more interesting. I'm sure if it was any other person coming forward, everyone comes, every style, every person has his own style, because style comes from personality, and I believe, and I don't think anyone will be fighting very similar to him. They might have similar, but it won't be like him. That's what makes it more interesting. Is the style is. It's a bit harder for me because the way he comes in and the way I move out, it tends to clash it, and that's when we tend to get into a fight. But that's about it. But
yeah, and he does have that style, that come forward style. He pulls like the scariest face I've ever seen, and just carries on walking forward. Yeah. The whole night he is relentless. I feel like though when you win a round, you win it clearly, but the problem is there's more close rounds than clear rounds, and I think that's probably to do with his pressure. You mentioned it's probably not the best style for you. Let's look to the future, Kaisy. Do you want the third fight? Do you have the hunger for the third fight?
Of course I have the hunger. I've got so much hunger. I just want to get my win. I didn't came to get the draw for this fight. I knew it was going to be a tough because I was going to EC. The judge is always going to be on. He was the home corner. He was the champion apparently, so it was all his show. And we had to do, I think for me to get the win, I knew I had to drop this guy. And if I did that, I probably would have had the win. But other than that, I knew on points. You either give it to him or put it a draw. But I'm very hungry to get the third fight done. But it has to be in our turf. It has to be back in London because we went to his city and we still had more fans than him. So like ticket wise, he's not the British champion, so he's fighting for vacate. We gave him a chance to fight for his hometown, and now he has to come our hometown with my fans being there, and then we could put a much better show. That's where we go. But I'm very hungry to get the third fight. Of course, I want to get my win back. Nothing is more important for me to go and beat him.
Yeah, I saw your fans. They were making a lot of noise, of course, during the fight. You were cut in the fight, obviously, Kaisy. How, if it was up to you, how soon would you have that rematch? When will you be completely healed up, completely fit again to go again for perhaps another 12 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be ready for November, December. That's not a problem. Obviously, we have to look in the training camp. If the cut doesn't open up, then I don't think it will open up. It's gonna be careful, but November, December, I'm ready. I'm very ready.
And I saw something. I'm not sure who started it, but I saw something on Instagram. Someone mentioned about betting their entire purse on the third fight, betting even having to retire for the loser. Who brought that up?
Yeah, I mean, because it was all right. We were both boxers, and we both. He tags on a story saying that look, be honest that he was saying to me that be honest that I won the fight. Look from his look how happy that he got Joe, and I went to me. Do I look happy or is that sarcastic smile? Like I'm giving a sarcastic smile to the judges. Like what is this? Like are you having a laugh? And it was just a picture that time the photo was taken. And he was saying that this guy's happy with the draw and he was a clear winner. I was like, if you really truly believe that you're the winner, if you really believe truly that you beat me, listen, let's have the trilogy and put your purse, put all your titles, whatever you have, put everything on the line. Put even retirement on the line. You beat me, I'll retire. I'll beat you, you retire. Are you that confident? Because I'm that confident. I'll go again and I promise you I'm going to hurt you. He didn't agree to that, but then he goes, he didn't message me for a while. And then, after he messaged me recently, he goes, look, the fight was close fight, this. And I was like, he's a little weasel. He doesn't talk, he talks like that when I'm not there. But when we talk, when we do a private message, he tried to be so humble, so nice. Even on, when we're at the press, he's trying to act so nice and all that. But, he's a little weasel. He talks a lot of rubbish. He doesn't even know his boxing. But boxing, what destroyed UK boxing back in time was because they used to judge on fighters based on coming forward. I mean, this guy, if you count the amount of punches he lands and the amount of punches I land per round, my punches are more high. My points are more high than him. And both are fight. But the way judges seen it, the judges, I don't know how they judge it, just coming forward and I made this guy miss more than probably a lot. I mean, if you look around 7, 8, 9, he was missing a lot of punches, a lot of big shots. But he was just coming forward, and I think that's going to destroy a lot of boxers, bringing that same mentality, judges, to the fight. Because boxing, as past 7, 8, 9 years, boxing has become so good in UK. You've got all different style, all different flashy style, and having judges like that, judging, giving the wins for fighters to just come forward is gonna bring back the old habit of UK British boxing. British boxing back in time would just come forward. It wasn't like pure, so it would just come and fight. It would just come forward and fight. Boxing is an art, and you meant to the name of the game is hit and not get hit. Such that the great Floyd Mayweather said, and many other boxers. Boxing is a game of chess, and that's what you meant to do. But on trilogy, if we get a trilogy done, I'm gonna drop him down. I just want to go all out, man.
Yeah, I do really want to see the third fight. I think anyone that saw the second fight or anyone that goes on YouTube and watches the second fight will certainly welcome a third fight. And you're right, Sorry, go on.
I think the first fight will get better because the first fight was alright. The second fight was, we got more anger in us. The first fight, even more of us. We're both not happy on the draw, so we're both gonna come even harder. So I think one of us definitely gonna drop. It won't be me, 100%. But I think he's gonna drop. So it'll be. That's what I'm saying. It'll be very good. The third fight will be very very entertaining fight. We're all gonna lay it out, I think. So I'm happy for it to get done, hopefully.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see it. And just finally, Kaisy, just before we let you go, where can people follow you on social media? If you've got Twitter, if you've got Instagram, give your handle so people can jump on this journey.
So on Instagram it's Kaisy Khademi, same as Twitter, Kaisy Khademi, and Facebook Kaisy Khademi. Follow me. I'm gonna keep everyone updated with what's going on with the fight. So hopefully we get this trilogy done and put another entertainment show for all the fans that love boxing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, Kaisy, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. It was an honour to see you fight from ringside on the weekend. I wish you the best for the future, and I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you as well, and hopefully we can meet up another time. Definitely, man. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. Couple things to mention. The DAZN monthly subscription price is increasing in the UK. It's gone from £1.99 up to £7.99. So a few people outraged about that. I don't think you can be that outraged, but I just think it's now 4 times the price. So some people will be annoyed about that. But we got real good value while it was £1.99. If they continue to bang out the kind of content they've been putting on, it's definitely worth £8 a month. It's a lot cheaper than it is, I believe, in the US. So that's that one. The other piece of news is that Oscar Valdez has failed a drugs test. They found something in his system that looks like it's going to rule him out of his fight, which I think he had penned in for, I believe it was October 10th or something like that. So that's a bit of a shame there. It's more suspicion for Canelo's camp as well. I think they're going to be testing the B sample. It's a little bit unclear which substance was found in his test, but we will see more news on that, I'm guessing, in the coming days. But it's not a good look. Oscar Valdez, a friend of the show, and to have that suspicion over him, especially after that unbelievable win last time out against I can't remember the guy's name now, God almighty, but what a knockout it was. Oh gosh, what was the champion's name? It's going to drive me crazy. He come back to beat the Mexican guy, didn't he? It was a brutal knockout just as the round was ending, and I cannot remember the guy's name, so I'm checking it. And Miguel Bachel, of course. In other news, we have the fact that Sky are kind of doing this boxing schedule involving a lot of young prospects and just kind of strange, odd talents. It's weird. They've got a few people that were previously on the Matchroom roster. I'm not sure if they're still with Matchroom. I felt they'd be going to DAZN with Matchroom. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but anyways, if you're a Sky subscriber, we're going to see some more big names on Sky once again. By the way, the Valdez fight is set to be September 11th, not October 10th. I'm not sure where I got that from. But who we will see, though, on the schedule for Sky Sports that they've just announced is that on October 2nd, Chris Eubank Jr. will be boxing Sven Elbeer. It's not the fight anyone wanted to see, but it's good to see Chris Eubank Jr. back. Also on the card, David Avanesian gets in against Liam Taylor, and Richard Riakporhe returns to the ring after about 2 years out. He gets in with Krzysztof Twardowski. So that again is October 2nd, and also on October 16th, Savannah Marshall defends her world title against Lolita Muzea, and Hughie Fury against Christian Hammer. I'm sure that's a fight that I mentioned a few months ago wouldn't be a bad move in the right direction for Hughie. I could be making that up, but I think I did. And anyways, it's a fight that is taking place. It's not a huge name, obviously, but it's a good testing fight there. Hammer's been in with a whole heap of top heavyweights like Povetkin, like Luis Ortiz, like Tyson Fury. Obviously, we know we're going to be seeing Jamel Herring against Shakur Stevenson. That's going to be on Sky as well. And it's also been announced Josh Taylor will be defending his undisputed 140 crown against Jack Catterall, the undefeated Jack Catterall, who has been sitting on the sidelines for what seems like years in that mandatory position, highly ranked. What's he been doing since he beat O'Hara Davies? Not too much is the answer. Is he good enough? We shall see. It's a great, great fight. Moving on, though, to the preview part of the show. If any other news develops from now to the end of the show, I will mention it on the outro. So this one takes place tomorrow. It's happening at the Kilimanjaro Hall in Tanzania. We have Hassan Mwakinyo, who's 19-2. Some people will remember he came in on late notice against Sam Eggington and knocked him out early. He gets in against former unified world champion, Julius Indongo, 23-3 there for the African Boxing Union Super Welterweight title. Indongo up at 154. What the heck? Anyways, moving out now to the Czech Republic. One fight to mention over here. We've got Declan Geraghty, 19-5 in a 12-rounder against David Rajuli, who's 12-8 with a draw. That one's for the vacant Universal Boxing Organization World Super Lightweight title. We've also got the return of Prism Slorinowski after losing about 2 or 3 weeks ago to Mikey McKinson. He's 19-2, no opponent just yet for him. Moving out now to the Headingley Rugby Club Stadium in Leeds, United Kingdom, Yorkshire, obviously. On the undercard, we have Jack Bateson, no opponent just yet, 13-0 is his record. We've got Ebony Bridges, 6-1 in an 8 2-minute round contest against Maylis Gangloff, who's 5-2. So Ebony Bridges has been out twice in quick succession here in the UK. She's fighting a girl who's never been stopped once again. So we shall see. That could be interesting. We've also got Hopi Price, 5-0 in a 10-rounder against Zahid Hussein, who's 16-1. That's for the vacant IBO International Super Bantamweight title. We've got Katie Taylor defending her undisputed lightweight world titles against Jennifer Han, who's 18-3 with a draw. A lot of criticism behind this fight here because Jennifer Han's only had one fight in the last 3.5 years, and really and truly she is a featherweight, and this fight, of course, like I say, is at lightweight, so she's kind of moving up 2 weight classes. She's never been stopped though in her 3 losses, and she's only got 1 KO in her 18 wins, so not many people giving her a chance against arguably the pound for pound best female fighter, Katie Taylor. Also on the card, Conor Benn, 18-0. It's been rescheduled after he had COVID. He steps in with Adrian Granados, 21-8 with 3 draws there for the WBA Continental Welterweight title. Should be a good fight. It's another opponent just like Conor Benn's last one, which was Sammy Vargas. Should be good. We've got Giovanni Straffon, who is 24-3 with a draw. It's for the IBO World Lightweight title. He gets in against Maxi Hughes, 23-5 with 2 draws. Maxi Hughes, in the form of his life, it would almost appear, coming off those brilliant 3 wins in a row against John O'Carroll, Viktor Kotijogov, and Paul Hyland Jr. But is this a step too far against Giovanni Straffon, the Mexican southpaw, who of course in his last fight made easy work of James Tennyson in 1 round? Was it just a flash in the pan? We shall see. I wouldn't want to put any money on that fight. It could go any kind of way. And of course the rematch, Maurizio Lara, 23-2, gets in with Josh Warrington, 30-1. Josh Warrington got knocked out in the last encounter back in February. It was obviously a 9th round TKO for Lara. He had Warrington down in round 4, and of course in that 9th and final round, Warrington decided to have that fight. I think he vacated the belt, had that fight for a really strange reason, and his eye probably wasn't on the prize. He was trying to get the Kanzu fight. He probably wasn't fully focused on the dangers that Lara possessed, and he found out the hard way, and he looked awful in that fight. This time though, he's had his chance to prepare for the guy. He knows how good the guy is. He's lost his own now. He should be better in this fight than he was in the first fight. We shall see though. Has the Mexican dented his confidence? He's only 23 years of age. He was relentless. He was a hard puncher. Has he dented his confidence? Is he going to come and do the double and knock him out again? We shall see. Really, really good fight. Again, that's on DAZN. Moving out now to the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C., USA. Over here, friend of the show, Dusty Hernandez Harrison. He's still undefeated these days. 34-0 with 1 draw. Over 10 rounds he's fighting. No opponent just yet for him. Moving out now to the Paramount Theatre in Huntington, New York, USA. This is the final card to mention. Just one fight, I believe, to mention on this card. Cletus Seldin, 25-1. I'm not sure if he's fought since he put Zab Judah in a coma, actually, but he's back out in a 10-rounder against Victor Vasquez, who's 11-5. That one's for the NABA super lightweight title. But that's about everything. I've flown through that as quick as I could. We've done the review part. We brought you the sole guest. We did the news part just there. And I've just wrapped up the preview part of the show. I've flown through it so quickly that I've barely had a chance to say anything to Eddie. Just before we wrap this up, I'm going to come in with the outro in just a few seconds. Eddie, I'm going to let you say something before we wrap it up. Sorry for not coming to you. I've just tried to fly through it with as limited time as possible.
Oh, well, I can say this. I felt like you did a good job by yourself, Joe. the analysis of the fights, you know what I mean? And from what I've heard, I wasn't watching a lot. I jumped on the Woodley and Jake Paul fight to kind of like just see what happened. But I really wasn't 100% interested, and I kind of regret it because there was actually some good card. Good fights or interesting fighters, let's say, to see on the undercard to look at. But I kind of wanted to see Daniel Dubois. He was on the undercard, so there's a couple of things I wanted to see, a couple of different fights. Even the female fight, I wanted to check that out too. I can't say even the female fight. That's not fair to say, but you know what I mean. I wanted to see that one as well. So all in all, I can't say it was a great week because I didn't really watch much, but you did a good job of explaining it, Joe. That's one thing I can say for sure.
No, I appreciate the kind words, Eddie, and I appreciate that. My favorite times that I've recorded the show has been both the two or three times that we did it in person out in our makeshift studio in what's our secret location called again? What's that place called? La Quinta.
Yeah.
There we go, La Quinta. We got our makeshift studio in La Quinta.
We gotta do it again, man. We gotta do that again.
We got to do it again, absolutely. But like I say, just before we wrap it up, the final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 307 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive thank you to our special guest, the former WBO European Super-Flyweight champion, Kaisy Khademi. Hopefully we get to see the third fight between him and Ijaz Ahmed. That will be a great fight. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to John Tandy and, of course, the listeners. But that's about everything from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Remember to tell a friend about the podcast. If you've got a spare 2 minutes, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really means a lot. Stay safe though, and we shall see you all again next week.